We're here to idea everyone, to fire up your curiosity and connect you with the people and ideas that shape our world. Watch, listen, understand, connect, create. Let's move the human story forward together.
Hello and welcome to The Poetry of Science, a podcast which provides insight into new scientific research via the medium of poetry. I'm your host, Dr. Sam Illingworth, and each week I'll be introducing you to some of the latest scientific findings and sharing a selection of science-themed poetry. After all, we could all do with a little bit more poetry in our lives. In this episode, I'll be exploring new research which has found that megastorms leave marks on Saturn's atmosphere for centuries. A bracelet of cosmic splendour, banded clouds wrapped tight with swirling stripes of haze to mask the rage within. Tempests prowl broad rings, ravenous brutes whose chaos breath engulfs the skies, leaving only absence in their wake. Violent beasts who come and go as they please, their long shadows still, creeping, changing. Storm ghosts from centuries past, whose memory burns bright in cloud and wind, long after they are dead and gone. This poem is inspired by recent research published in the journal Science Advances, which has found that giant storms periodically engulf Saturn, causing long-lasting atmospheric effects that fundamentally reshape the planet's weather and composition. Giant storms are a regular occurrence on Saturn, the ringed gas giant. Every few decades, an enormous eruption will engulf the planet, causing chaos and disruption across its atmosphere. These megastorms have been observed periodically over history, with 6 massive events being definitively recorded. The reasons behind these gigantic upheavals are still being studied, and their long-term impacts are only starting to be understood. What is clear is that they fundamentally shape Saturn's atmospheric patterns, composition, and weather in their aftermath. In this study, researchers found long-lasting effects from Saturn's past giant storms. Using a large radio telescope array in 2015, they probed the deep atmospheric response to the storms, discovering lingering signatures from all mid-latitude storms going back hundreds of years, as well as evidence of an older unreported storm at 70 degrees north latitude. The research produced a map showing the extended north-south movement over time of the ammonia gas disturbance caused by the storms, and interestingly, the most recent storm in 2010 split into 2 parts, moving in opposite directions and leaving a gap at 43 degrees north latitude. The study provides new insights into how these massive eruptions continue to shape Saturn's atmosphere long after they have subsided. Now that you've heard the science, let me read the poem to you again. A bracelet of cosmic splendour, banded clouds wrapped tight with swirling stripes of haze to mask the rage within. Tempests prowl broad rings, ravenous brutes whose chaos breath engulfs the skies, leaving only absence in their wake. Violent beasts who come and go as they please, their long shadows still, creeping, changing. Storm ghosts from centuries past, whose memory burns bright in cloud and wind, long after they are dead and gone. In this section of the podcast, I'd like to share a poem written by another poet on a topic related to the science that has been discussed so far. In this episode, I'll be reading Saturn by Stephanie Marlis. Stephanie Marlis is a poet and freelance copywriter who was born near the shores of Lake Erie in 1961 in the United States. She later moved west and obtained an MA in creative writing from San Francisco State University, After a brief academic career, she found her calling as a copywriter 25 years ago. Marlis has won numerous awards for her writing and copywriting work, including a Joseph Henry Jackson Award in 1981 and a Marinette Council Creative Achievement Award in 1985. She has published multiple poetry collections and received literary honours like an NEA Fellowship. Her poetry enriches her copywriting, and vice versa. Saturn by Stephanie Marlis. I'm learning not to measure perfection like sugar. Mike's son at 12 years, 100 pounds, can't tell time, can't add a quarter moon to a half, or clear the dishes without forgetting midway. But he is perfecting one art. Call it patience, or limits. Orbits the lark no less for the hawk, gliding higher. For Christmas he's been given a telescope. By nightfall it is set beneath the freshly inked dome. Out there the showiest stars a planet. He loves the buoyant, frictionless plate his father has in focus. Miscounts moons. Pleasure aura. Call it perfect. Thank you for listening to the Poetry of Science.
Thank you very much for being with us for this episode of the ideaXme show. ideaXme is a global platform. Our mission is to move the human story forward by sharing knowledge of the future. You can find us on all major audio networks at www.radioideaXme.com, on YouTube and Vimeo. Please subscribe.